What it do, y'all? Today's video is about how to not be such a motherfucking nice guy, alright? And remember, y'all, the time is now. There's a scenario from the 86th episode of the NBC sitcom Seinfeld, which is very telling on what it means to suffer from the nice guy syndrome. One of the characters, George, decided to change his life by acting the opposite of how he would have typically behaved. Ironically, by doing things exactly the opposite, by not being a nice guy, George gets a beautiful girlfriend and a job with the Yankees. While doing everything the opposite might not be the answer for breaking free from the nice guy syndrome, doing some things different is. Now, this example isn't something that I came up with on my own. I actually read it in the book No More Mr. Nice Guy. This is a book that I've been resisting reading for a long time because even though a number of great sources, people I trust, recommended that I read this book, this whole notion of being a nice guy and how that's a bad thing, that was always like a really unattractive idea to me. It actually ended up being one of the most insightful books that I came across in recent times. So for today's video, I want to go over 3 tropes that are part of being a nice guy, but not a nice guy from an authentic source. Someone who's a nice guy. Usually when we try to be nice or when we try to give a result out to the world, we want to spread love, we want to spread joy to people around us. We should be doing that at least from a source of, I'm full for myself, I've got everything I need, and I just want to give some of that to you. Oftentimes when we're trying to be nice, it actually comes from a place of lack, and that's something that this book addresses really well. So here's what the author says. The nice guy syndrome represents a belief that if nice guys are good, they will be loved. This attempt to be good typically involves trying to eliminate or hide certain things about themselves and becoming what they believe others want them to be. Nice guys seek approval from others. A universal trait of the nice guy syndrome is the seeking of validation from others. Out of the whole range of 12 or so principles that this book covers, I want to talk about 3 ideas that really resonated the most. 3 things that nice guys can do to try to be more authentic and more connected to their masculine essence. And now, while I am speaking with men in mind, I think a great deal of this, about 80% of it, would also apply to any women who are watching. And the first thing is this. Stop trying to hide your imperfections. It is actually a person's rough edges and human imperfections that give others something to connect with. This is something I failed to realize in recent times. One thing I've often done, even with this YouTube channel, believe it or not, is attempt to hide my imperfections. And that's something I'm trying to step out of more and more. When I would look at other content creators who are of my same type, of my same vein, many of them are extremely serious, extremely masculine, and just so direct in their speaking style, and I found it really admirable. But oftentimes that has not been me. I'm actually a very goofy, fun-loving person. I had been trying to be too formal, too boxed in, and maybe in some cases trying to be like the content creators who I admired, who came across having a sense of perfection, at least the way I registered them. Thinking back to like watching Elliot Hulse videos and how articulate he is, or Angel and how deep his voice is and how just raw and masculine his appeal is. Today's video is about how to go deep inside, alright? And on some degree, I've been afraid to show my imperfections, the fact that I'm a little silly, the fact that I'm, generally speaking, a little lighthearted. That's something I'm attempting to get out more and more because I'm beginning to realize what really makes me someone worth connecting with, and what makes all of us someone worth connecting with is the fact that we do have imperfections. RSD Tyler, whose videos I actually oddly love watching a lot, he said this whole thing about as men, we hide the fact that we're horny, you know? We are spiritual beings having a human experience, but then what is this whole, dirty, sweaty part of me that I'm always trying to hide? You can be spiritual, you can be deep, you can be serious, but if you have imperfections and if you have elements of you that are gross, earthly, needy, desirous, you can let that out. For so long, my entire YouTube channel had just been one thing over and over, which is just this. You gotta take up this energy and you gotta push it out into the world. That's all I did for 6 months, and I thought, that's the only thing people would want to see from me is talking about that element of things, taking the raw creative energy that is within you and getting it out into the world. But whatever your imperfections are, give it a chance. Give your imperfections a chance. Give them an opportunity to get out into the world, because from your imperfections, you can connect with the raw essence of other people. The second problem that nice guys have that they can learn to overcome, something I definitely need to try to overcome, is not making their needs a priority. Here's what the author says on this. Trying to appear needless and wantless prevents nice guys from getting their needs met. In addition to using ineffective strategies to get their needs met, nice guys are terrible receivers. Since getting their needs met contradicts their childhood paradigm, nice guys are extremely uncomfortable when they actually do get what they want. Most nice guys are astonished when I tell them it is healthy to have needs and that mature people make getting their needs a priority. You know, so many times when people offer you things, when they offer you gifts, they want to give back to you, they want to serve you. Are you willing to accept that? Accept that need that comes from within you? And that's something I've realized from this book. It's okay to have needs. And I think the best way to really figure this out is to jot it down on a piece of paper. Like, what are my needs? What would I like from the person I'm dating, from my employer, from my boss? What are the needs that I'm sort of neglecting? Because I think if I address my needs, if I take my needs and treat them as a priority, then I will be somehow unloved. I'll not be worth it. I just have to give. If I keep giving, then people will love me. If I try to take something back in return, then the world is going to eat it up. Now, while I do believe in like the law of abundance, the law of prosperity, when you give value to others without taking anything in return, the universe has a way of getting it back to you. I definitely completely believe that. At the same time, you can only give out what you have already. You've got to stay in an energized, abundant, vigorous state from within. And when you come from that space, you know, when your cup is overfloweth, you can give back to the world. And that is the only place from which you can give back to the world. And oftentimes when you're a nice guy or a nice girl even, you just give to others. You're just focusing on, no, I don't need, let's not worry about me. I mean, I'm exhausted. I'm so tired. I've got this anxiety in the pit of my stomach sometimes, but let's just focus on you because that's just what I do. All I do is give. And that is not the right way to go about things. Make your needs a priority. I think the main takeaway is so often it's easy for us to just give to others because we think that's the right way to conduct ourselves. And what you've got to realize is you are the master of your domain and you've got to exert those lines in the sand. You've got to say, these are my needs. This is what I want from certain situations. And that's something that I'm gonna have to keep working on over time because I don't think it's an instant fix, but it's definitely something that's worth thinking about and knowing. You know, if you want to stop being a nice guy, you've got to make your own needs a priority, first and foremost, because that's the only way you can give back to the world. And the third thing you can do to stop holding on to that nice guy mentality that comes from a place of neediness, that comes from a place of weakness and lack, is to build yourself up physically. And I really love what the author has said on building one's physicality up in order to assert their masculinity more. Here's what he says. Masculinity denotes strength and power. Because of their conditioning, nice guys tend to fear these traits. As a result, they often become emotionally and physically soft. Embracing one's masculinity means embracing one's body, power, and spaciousness. In order to do this, the recovering nice guys have to stop putting junk into their bodies and train them to respond to the physical demands of being male. A YouTuber I absolutely adore, Elisha Long, lately he's been saying this slogan over and over again. You can't think your way out of it. A great CEO I admire, Sundar Pichai, he always goes on walks when he's trying to come up with ideas. And there's a great thing to be learned from that. Motion, physicality, strength, they actually affect our psyche. And your psyche, your masculinity, it's actually connected to your body. Your body is its own intelligence, and you've got to honor that. And this is something to be reminded of daily, because I know you know it, we all know it. Taking care of yourself affects your mind, but it's only when you start living it out, you know? If you're working at a cubicle 8 hours a day, you might be driving around all day, maybe getting to your next audition, and you're coming from that place of neediness and lack. You go to the audition thinking, give me the part, please, I'll do anything. And then you get a good workout in before heading into the audition, and you think to yourself, I'm the fucking guy. Whether you give me this part or not, I am the guy. And where did that come from? It came from me tapping into my masculinity. It came into me tapping into my body that day. And so these are the 3 ideas that resonated with me the most, at least for now, from the book No More Mr. Nice Guy. I think this is a book that I'm gonna read a couple of times, and I'm gonna talk about its principles more moving forward. But stop hiding your imperfections. If you're dirty, if you're sweaty, if there's something weird about you, embrace your weirdness. You don't always have to be polished. You can show the world your imperfections. You can honor the imperfections within yourself by not hating yourself for having them. The second thing is to recognize what your needs are. And this is something to really work through. Write it down on a piece of paper. What are my needs? Am I worried about losing love? And is that why I keep on just giving and I'm so afraid to receive in return? Be willing to be a receiver as well. When you're given a gift, accept it graciously and put it in your pocket. Make giving and receiving both. Make that circulation a part of your life. Don't think you need to always just give and never take anything back in return. And lastly, connect with your body. Now the book addresses this for men in particular, but everyone. When you connect with your body, when you connect to the primal nature within you, you stop being so damn nice and you start focusing on being authentic. And at the end of the day, for those of us who aren't so concerned with being nice in that fake, inauthentic, needy way, but rather just being real, true, primal, imperfect, free, to us I say, greatness is coming. See you guys Sunday. Cheers.